So you're receiving your weekly workers' compensation checks in your workers' compensation case. You got hurt on the job in Virginia or North Carolina. Maybe you've had a functional capacity exam, which has determined your permanent restrictions now for your job. You tell your lawyer, if you have one, you want to settle your case and for a lump sum of money and get on with your life and get on with your life the way you want to live it. Maybe you have some jobs lined up with some folks that you know that are within your restrictions that you feel like you can do. Maybe you're smart and you retained a lawyer like me, okay? And you have a little powwow, okay, with your lawyer. And what happened? He decides, he goes ahead and in consultation with you, which is what we do, issues a demand for settlement, a letter to the insurance company asking them for a certain amount of money to settle your case. 2 months go by, maybe 3, maybe 4, maybe more. And your weekly check now, in the meantime, your weekly checks keep coming because you're under an accepted claim or an awarded claim. And it could also be that the insurance company has started vocational rehabilitation on you, maybe before or after the demand went out. And now you got to meet with this very annoying person, every week and follow up on these job leads that you don't want to do. And by the way, I encourage you to watch our recent video I did on vocational rehabilitation. I think it's pretty good. So you call your attorney, right? You call me up and say, Miller, what you doing about getting my settlement? And your income's been reduced by 1/3 and you're struggling, and what can you do about getting me my money? So I'm Joe Miller, workers' compensation attorney, as you may have surmised by now, in both Virginia and North Carolina. And today, this scenario is exactly what we're going to talk about, okay? Now, I think there's a lot of workers' comp attorneys out there who would never do a video like this, all right? Because they want you to believe that, if you hire them, they're going to wave some kind of magic wand and, get you on a top-notch settlement in your case somehow magically. I don't know, if you hire them. And I'm here to tell you that any attorney that basically guarantees something like that is lying through his or her teeth, okay? Because what you can expect from me is, we call it strong justice. We're going to do the best we can to enhance the probability that your case is going to get settled for a decent amount of money. However, I'm always going to be honest with you, and I'm always going to tell you the truth. I know, and I completely sympathize with anybody who's in a workers' compensation situation. Look, your income has gone down by 1/3, okay? And, you're hurting and you're home and you don't know what the heck you can do with yourself. It's driving you crazy. Here's the hard truth I'm going to get to with you. Even in an accepted or awarded claim, okay, where you're getting your money and all that, settlement for a lump sum of money is completely voluntary, 100% voluntary on the part of the insurance company. The insurance company has zero obligation to settle your claim. Zero, okay? Now, so long as they're paying you your two-thirds of your average weekly wage every week for up to 500 weeks, and until they can get you a job, and they're covering all your medical bills that are related to the accident, they're doing everything that they're required to do by law. Some of you may be thinking, well, wait a minute now. Why can't you just take them to court? Going to court is the proper response in a personal injury claim. If they're not going to settle, we're going to go to the courthouse and we're going to try the case. And the jury foreman is going to come forward and say, we find for the plaintiff the amount of amount of dollars, right? That does not happen in a workers' compensation case for a couple of reasons. One is it doesn't happen at hearing. That's not the way hearings in workers' compensation go. Number two, if you've got an accepted and awarded claim, you have won. You have already won your case. They're paying your money, and whether you got it through maybe you did have to go to a hearing to get it accepted, or maybe they just agreed to it. So all that you're entitled to is the weekly checks for up to 500 weeks and your medical treatment that's related to your injuries for life, and that's it. Now, of course, the payments for those items are not all in one lump sum. They come drip, drip, drip like a faucet, one little check every week. And when the lawyer sends the demand letter, what's he doing? Assuming this is with your agreement, the client's agreement, we send out a letter that says, we're going to give you an opportunity to reduce that obligation, but you got to pay in lump sum. Many times, either the adjuster or the attorney for the insurance company will contact us via email, or they'll call us and say, hey, Mr. Miller, hey, Joe, y'all get us a demand on this case. We'd like to see if we can try to settle it. So usually that's a good sign that they're ready to negotiate and offer some money. Problem is that sometimes it's the right time to settle. Sometimes it's not the right time to settle. Let's say you're getting ready to undergo a major procedure that you really need. Now they want to get out from under having to pay for that. So they say, let's try to see if we can try to settle. Not a good time to settle your case. Most of the time that when we receive a communication from the insurance company about settlement, the case is in a position to settle, meaning you've reached kind of the end of the line. You're about as good as you're going to get. You've reached your maximum medical improvement. We know your permanent restrictions, that sort of thing, and we'll send out a demand, and usually within a month or so, we'll get a response. The sad truth is, I have to reveal, we don't have any control over whether they respond or not. So you might ask, well, okay, well, if that's the case, what the heck do I need a lawyer for at all? There's a lot of answers to that question. First of all, the lawyer is really in the best position to get your case in the best position to settle and guide you along in many ways to make sure that you get there unscathed. I can't tell you how many times I've seen people make mistakes, especially before we represented them, such as they're in a job that they can't do anymore. They know their doctor says they can't do it, so they just decide to resign the job or quit, okay? What you've done there is you just handed the insurance company, victory. A good workers' compensation attorney will make sure you don't do something like that. Another situation we've seen, an MRI has been ordered and the person is having pretty bad symptoms, whatever they are. Maybe they got pain, numbness, tingling going down their leg. They can't walk too well. Now the insurance company wants to offer a puny settlement to try to settle it out. We're going to advise them, don't you dare settle your case. Let's see what the MRI shows and if maybe you need surgery. Basically, the bottom line is on an accepted claim or any claim, we're going to guide you every step of the way to the point where the case is in the best position to seek settlement. And there's no guarantee, but it's going to be in the best position to attract a settlement in your claim. The other thing, too, is that there are many, many, many factors that go into settlement. We have, by the way, a book online on North Carolina settlements. I encourage you to look at it. A lot of that applies to Virginia as well, just the factors. For instance, how many weeks do you have left in your 500 weeks? What is your skill set? Do you have, for instance, skills? Do you have skills like sedentary skills that they could get you a job, a sit-down job that you could go do bookkeeping or something? And how hard is it going to be for them to find you a job? What is your weekly compensation check rate? What's the real value of your future lifetime medical? And that varies from case to case depending on how severe your injuries are. When I write a settlement demand, I'm taking all these kind of factors and more into account to determine what the final figure is that I want to demand in the case. Somebody that writes a demand like that is more likely to encourage a response from the insurance company than somebody who just throws out a bunch of numbers that have nothing to do with reality. We're in a position to kind of advise you and counsel you on your treatment options at any given point. Now, we're not doctors, but we know certain things about the way these things go. For instance, let's say you had surgery and you just take over-the-counter medication that doesn't really help your pain. So that's not helping you, number one, and that is also not helping your case. And I have a video on this as well, and the main point of that video is don't get scared by being referred to a pain management doctor, because just because you're going to come under the care of a pain management doctor does not mean they're going to put you on this scary stuff called opioids, okay? There are many, many, many non-habit forming, non-addictive medications out there and other options that they have to try to help control your pain. But the secondary benefit of that, besides helping you physically, is that it's going to help your case. Let's say you get under the care of a pain medicine doctor. You have to go to appointments with them a certain amount of times a year. You have certain medications they're prescribing that cost the insurance company money. We can estimate those expenses and project out into the future, really for the rest of your life, what that's going to cost the insurance company. And there's another factor in determining what your case is worth. Another thing that we counsel people on all the time is not to blow their case that we spoke about briefly. It's a little dance you have to do in your case to get to the end. If you're going to have the wrong attitude and argue constantly with a vocational rehabilitation person and fail to show up at meetings, things like that, that's going to be the end of your weekly checks, and it's going to greatly, greatly reduce the value of your claim if you are taken off of those weekly checks because of that. And in Virginia, especially, they can do it like that, and it's really hard to get them going again. If you play the game, if voc rehab has been going on for a while, and it's been going on for a long time, and they still haven't found you a job, they tend to sort of come back to the negotiating table after a while, in my experience. Not always, but most of the time they will say, okay, let's go back to the negotiating table. So anyway, I hope this video has been helpful for you to understand the concept of two things. Number one, settlement, there's no guarantee of settlement, number one. Number two, it's completely voluntary. Just because we send out a demand, just because we talk about settlement, just even sometimes because if they ask for a demand, doesn't mean you're going to get an offer. Even though that's true, that they're completely voluntary on the part of the insurance company, most of the time when they say they want a demand, they do actually want to negotiate, and it would be very helpful under those circumstances for you to have a workers' compensation attorney that knows what the heck he or she is talking about. I feel like I'm one of those attorneys. I've been doing this for a long time, and we have been very successful in getting our clients a lot of money. So If you have any questions about workers' compensation, about any settlement offers, anything like that, or you think your case might be in a position to settle, you don't know, give us a call here at the Work Injury Center, Joe Miller Law. Myself and my team are here to answer all your questions, okay? Now, up until now, we've been talking about accepted claims or awarded claims in either Virginia or North Carolina, okay? And what about denied claims? What about if your claim is denied? Can we settle those claims? Well, that's going to be the subject of our next video, which I encourage you to watch. Until then, I'm Joe Miller at Joe Miller Law. I wish you a blessed year and everything good. If you're watching this just after the holidays, happy belated holidays. Everything good to you and your family. Joe Miller out.